He's just Elvis.
Yeah, I mean, he's just like kind of an asshole. Elvis. He's like, if Elvis was Superman, he's kind of a dick, and like he juggles babies. And you've all probably seen the meme where somebody's like, we love you, Metro Man, and he points to the crowd. He's like, and I love you, random citizen. It's like, that's his character. That's it.
Yeah, truly. That being said, when he is pathetic and has his beard out, hot.
No. Welcome to Mortified, the Friendship Quest, a podcast where two long-distance friends bounce media recommendations, all in hopes the other will like it. I'm Aaron.
And I'm the difference between a villain and a supervillain.
And this week, we talk metrocity and memes with the DreamWorks superhero movie, Megamind. Before we talk about a good animated kids movie from 2010, remember you can help us on Mortify the Legitimacy Quest by subscribing to us on YouTube, iTunes, or Spotify, signing up for our monthly newsletter through the link in our show notes, or following us on Twitter and Tumblr at MortifiedPod. Leyla, do you think heroes are born or made?
I mean, in this movie, they were made a couple of different ways.
That is extremely true, but what does that mean? If you think about destiny, I don't know.
All I was going to say is when I think about destiny, all I can think about is one sky.
One sky, one destiny. We can't do Kingdom Hearts again. It's too soon. Okay. That's right. We never talked about Kingdom Hearts 4 on this podcast. We just talked about it constantly in between. Anyway, we're not here to talk about Kingdom Hearts.
Yes, we did.
God,
we did.
Time. Anyway.
Neither here nor there. Anyway, we watched fucking Megamind this week.
Was a good movie. I had a good time with it. And I'm excited because, like, the reason that I wanted to watch this was because of mostly Tumblr, mostly the memes, specifically the one meme about where whenever a British royal is about to die and they post the screenshot of Hal being like, there is no Tooth Fairy, there is no Easter Bunny, and there is no, and they just leave it blank, and it's very funny to me. So I was like, that's a good enough joke that I think I should watch this 90-minute film. And it turns out it was worth it. You know, I would give this a solid, B+ as a film.
I used to say it was an A, solid A, but I do think it aged a little teeny tiny bit, and I'm also in the BB+ category.
Yeah. Like we'll talk about how the critical reception in a bit, but I think it does reuse some ideas that were posed in earlier superhero movies, but maybe there's something we can dig into about that. But I believe actually wait, when did you first see Megamind?
It was a couple years after it came out. I think I was in animation school, and I was doing that thing I did every once in a while where I would just like go through and watch a bunch of movies I felt like I missed. And I feel like Megamind and Meet the Robinsons was kind of part of the same batch of watching for me. And both really good movies. I actually really want to rewatch Meet the Robinsons. I thought it was really good. But yeah, that's not the first time, and I really wasn't expecting anything just because I think I was coming off of some Shrek sequels for DreamWorks, and you're talking like a superhero movie. I've never really liked superheroes. And I watched it and I was like, this fucking ruled, actually. So I have very fond memories of good old Megamind.
Excellent. So for those of you who have not seen this film, let me do a plot summary. I believe it is my turn. Excellent.
It is your turn.
So the film actually starts with this big alien man, Megamind, falling to his death, and he's like, "You're probably wondering how I got here." And that's all well and good. Fun fact: Guillermo del Toro pitched starting the movie like that. He was brought in for like the last 3 weeks of this movie for some reason. But you know what? Thank you, Guillermo, for that. But anyway, he starts at the very beginning. After that, he's telling you his whole life story. We see these two aliens. We see, Megamind, baby Megamind, being shipped off to Earth in a little space pod. Very Superman-y. His planet's getting sucked into a black hole or whatever, and his parents send him to safety. But at the same time, somebody else on a different planet had the same idea, and they also send their baby to Earth, and the little space pods, bump against each other, forever altering the course of Megamind's flight. Megamind lands in prison. He crash lands in a prison where he is immediately adopted by the inmates, and hysterically, all the guards are like, yeah, no, you could just live here now, I guess. You just live in jail. Conversely, this super baby lands in like a mansion with parents. There's a very funny line where the wife is like, oh, a baby, and the husband, who's reading a piece of like a newspaper, is just like, yes, I got it and I thought of you. And I was like, that's pretty good. But yeah, basically Megamind is raised in this prison. He has this constant rivalry with this other super baby who turns out to be Metro Man. He's basically Superman and Elvis at the same time. And we see him develop throughout school, and they have this rivalry, and Megamind learns that like he has this super genius mind and he can create all these inventions, but he can't get people to like him. It's always going to be Metro Man who is getting the acclaim and the glory, and all he's got to do is just try to be bad. That's all his life has taught him, is that being bad is the only way that he can be himself. So one day, Megamind breaks out of prison, and he's about to he kidnaps Roxanne, who is a reporter, very much a Lois Lane type, and he lures Metro Man to his secret lair, and he like Roxanne's kind of bored by this. She's just like, oh, this always happens. You're so predictable, Megamind. But at the last minute, Metro Man is killed by Megamind, and they literally throw a skeleton at his flaming skeleton lands in Megamind's lair, and he's like, sick, I've done it, I can take over, and he takes over the city, and he soon realizes that it's not really all it's cracked up to be, because there's nobody opposing him. It's no fun. There's no, what does it mean to kidnap Roxanne if there's no Metro Man to come rescue him? And he gets really weirded out by that, and he goes to like destroy this museum to like eliminate the memory of Metro Man, but Roxanne is also there, so he impersonates this guy at the museum. He takes on his appearance, and they have this conversation, and soon Roxanne and Megamind start to fall in love. And like develop this relationship, and Megamind is soon like, actually, I don't care about being evil anymore. I found a new purpose. However, in the meantime, before that, he was all like, wait, hold on. I actually need to create a villain, or not a villain. I need to create a hero for this city because I killed the other one. Otherwise, I'm going to be super bored. So he accidentally gives all of Metro Man's superhero powers to Roxanne's cameraman, Hal. And Hal is a fucking nice guy incel, and he kind of sucks. But he does a whole training montage with Megamind. Megamind is a completely different person. They are both blue. You can forgive me for the mistake. He tries to train Hal to be a good person, but he's not. And Hal is like, his whole thing is like he's hopelessly in love with Roxanne in a creepy, bad way. So Megamind gives him superpowers, and he is still creepy and bad. And there's like a very scary scene where like Superman is stalking this woman. And I was like, actually, that sucks. That makes me really, really. That's a very scary thing to think about. Anyway. So that's bad. Hal, gives up on becoming, a hero for the city. He lets Megamind, run all over the city with his big, cool robot. And when Megamind confronts him about it, he's like, no, actually, I was hoping we could team up because I want to also take over the city and be evil. There's a very good scene where Megamind like comes in his apartment and he's like chewing him out, and then he looks over to the side, he's like, wait, and he sees all these like cash and jewels and gold bars. He's like, where did you get all that stuff? And Hal goes, I took it from other people. Isn't that cool? I was like, oh, I loved that. Anyway, they have a big fight. Megamind and Roxanne team up. They discover that Metro Man isn't actually dead. He just wanted to retire because he was just like tired of being. He never got a choice to be the city's hero. He just had to be it. So he becomes Music Man instead, and he makes shitty albums in his cool hideout. But anyway, Megamind and Roxanne team up and they defeat Hal and they saved the day. And Megamind learns that just because your destiny says one thing doesn't mean that is how your life should actually go.
Yeah, you did it. That's the movie.
I spent a lot of time studying Megamind. That was actually a lot more comprehensive of a summary than I was expected to give. But I liked this movie, so I'm glad.
It's a pretty good one. It's a good movie.
But yeah, that's Megamind. Right. I think we're getting into themes of like, what happens when the villain wins, right? That's been done in a lot of superhero media. What happens when, the superhero doesn't want to be a superhero anymore. And, what happens when the weird fanboy, or not fanboy, just like a kind of a weird shitty guy, gets superpowers and like, how does he use it? Like that's, I think probably for our audience, the best touchstone is The Incredibles. Right, Hal gives off very Syndrome vibes, but like I think I like Megamind's portrayal of superheroism way more because The Incredibles has some weird Randian ideology that I don't feel great about. Yeah, I liked it.
I do have one beef to pick with your summary, and it is that your touchstone for Megamind and Metro Man fleeing from their planets as they were being destroyed was Superman, when our ripped sad boy poet hero Kevin Winnicott was right there.
Leyla, I hate to break this to you, but as we were recording the Xenosaga episodes, that information, I was taking that information and shredding it in the little office I keep in my brain, in my hippocampus. There's a little tiny Aaron going, you see all these files? I know we just wrote all these files for Xenosaga. Put them right in the shredder right now. As soon as the words are said, set that shit on fire, because there is no room in here.
My goodness. Anyway, speaking of cultural touchstones, let's talk about our characters. So I'm going to find it pretty useful during the recording of this episode to talk about who voiced these characters, because this cast is quite stacked, for better or for worse. And my thought on Megamind as portrayed by Will Ferrell is that Catherine O'Hara and Schitt's Creek could do Megamind, but I don't think Will Ferrell could do Moira
No,
Rose.
I mean, obviously, Catherine O'Hara is very talented from what I hear. But like, in defense of Will Ferrell, I think this is probably the best role that I've seen him in. Like, I tend to kind of hate his like live action movies.
No, I did like this. I should be clear. I liked this vocal performance a lot. I thought it was very fun. But he did a lot of mispronunciation of words on purpose, which I thought was very charming and very funny. But every time he did it, all I could think about was Moira Rose. It was just like, where is the best chamber? That's lives rent free in my head. What was my favorite mispronunciation? Melancholy?
Yes, he's trying to say melancholy. Listen, he was educated in a prison. He's doing pretty good.
He has immigrant kid has only seen the word in writing syndrome, which I'm very familiar with.
Yeah, but like I about 30 minutes through this, I looked up the cast and I was like, oh yeah, this is all celebrities. And I was like worried that I was gonna start liking the movie less because I don't really like Will Ferrell, because like that kind of humor, like I don't think that Step Brothers is particularly funny. Like I know it was a huge meme when I was in high school, but I was like, this isn't for me.
I bailed out of Step Brothers about 20 minutes in. I'm very hit or miss on Will Ferrell. I did like Eurovision a little bit, but that's because I like Eurovision, the actual concert, and I thought that the songs in the fake Eurovision movie were very funny and good. It wasn't a perfect movie, but it was entertaining enough for me. But no, I really liked this vocal performance. I thought he sounded like he was having a good time.
I think everybody gives their all. I don't know that anybody's really phoning it in, which is nice. As far as a character, I mean, I think Megamind's motivations are pretty clear, right? He, is born into this idea that he can only be a criminal. When that his arch nemesis, the person that he's always been paired against, is taken away, he loses a sense of purpose. He finds a new purpose. Pretty clear character arc. He has one character trait, and that changes over time. And at the end, he is different. It's completely fine. I'm happy with it.
Aaron, he's a bored immigrant honors kid who is understimulated and entering Act 2 of his villain arc, which is something I relate to so specifically and so personally.
Yeah.
I love that, right?
He is good. I like him as a character, certainly.
Yeah, speaking of voice performances, I really liked David Cross as Minion.
I didn't mention this, but his parents, before he got shipped to Earth, they gave him a little fish bowl, and they said, "This is going to be your minion. Keep him with you." And that minion, he is literally just a fish in a robot suit, and he's great. I love him. And yes, I think David Cross did a great job voicing and being the silly, dumb sidekick.
I like that they're, speaking of things that are drawn on tropes, there's a lot of supervillains that treat their minions like fucking idiots. Sonic 2 is a really good example. Dr. Robotnik loathes Stone. He treats Stone with such open contempt, and Stone adores and kisses the ground he walks on. But Megamind and Minion are friends, which I thought was really, Megamind is selfish. He takes most of the credit for all the work that they do, but, he does, miss his friend, and the fight he gets into with Minion when he's starting to choose Roxanne over building a new hero is, genuinely kind of touching. They're sad.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that fight could have been telegraphed a little bit better. I don't know that we get enough Minion screen time for me to actually get too invested, because Minion is, he's a character that exists to serve Megamind, both literally in the text and also, metatextually. He's just a side character. He's literally named Minion. Somehow still the best Minion out of the DreamWorks movies that came out in 2010. Despite what some critics think, but we'll get to that. But yeah, I liked him.
I'm sorry, him being Hal's space stepmom was enough.
That was
for
really
you?
good. They couldn't make him be his space mom, so he did become a stepmom, which I thought was a very good joke.
Yeah, it was anytime that Megamind and Minion cosplayed as other people was truly everything to me.
Also, my favorite Minion bit is when it looks like Minion's gonna die at the end because he's a fish and his fish bowl is broken, and he's just like, "Oh, I see the light, goodbye." And it's it's a little bit played up as a dramatic thing, but Megamind is not reacting at all. He's just like, and then he takes him by the tail and just tosses him in a nearby fountain. He's like, "Oh, you're such a drama queen." I thought that was really good.
Yeah, no, it is. There's some really great whoever did the choreography for this movie was really good. Not only the character choreography, but also anytime the brain bots are on screen, doing fucking drone sculptures of Megamind. It's good. The whole thing is treated like a rock opera choreographically, and it's a good time. So our femme fatale, our reporter, our Lois Lane Roxanne, voiced by Tina Fey. I liked her less, I think, than I used to.
Yeah, I mean, we had a little bit of a reckoning with Tina Fey when we covered Mean Girls a couple months ago, potentially years ago. I don't remember.
Time is a flat circle.
Yeah, I thought she was fine. I think she served her purpose as the, love interest and motivator for basically everybody in this film. I think she was perfectly acceptable. Her motivation. I like her banter. I like the relationship that she and Megamind have. Not necessarily the romantic one, but the banter that they have. Especially when he kidnaps her and she's just like, "Oh yeah, is this gonna be the alligators again?" And she's like, "Oh, you could at least wash the bag." And then she's like, "Oh, the spiders knew." And he's like, "Yeah, I did that on purpose." So that
the spider.
But Yeah, I like I like it a little bit less once when they do start dating and they talk about, like their families and she's like, oh, tell me something you've never told anyone else and blah, blah, blah. I think that's all like pretty par for the course. Maybe my favorite sequence is when Megamind and Roxanne are having like this fight and they, like when it's revealed that he's been impersonating Bernard. And like the fight where she's like, did you, like she was like, what were you hoping to gain by impersonating Bernard and getting close to me? And like he doesn't say anything. I was like, okay, that's actually pretty good, because like they don't, I think that if you don't put it into words, that makes it better. He just kind of like looks at her sadly. I thought that was pretty good. But then again, they do undercut it later when she's like, oh, I need you, Megamind, when she's kidnapped, and I'm like, okay, it's pretty standard. It's fine. There is also that one casually racist bit where she's like, we should get some ray guns and go gangsta on them. It's like, all right, it is a Tina Fey character.
Get some ray guns, hold them sideways.
Yeah, it's like, yes, Tina Fey was in this movie. Forgot about that for a sec. So
yeah, that was one of the bits that aged kind of poorly for me. This protagonist, I think I liked her less because I think she is a very she's very emblematic of that period of time, that sort of sarcastic, snappy, not like other girls, female protagonists. Like, she's kind of prototypical of the kind of women that we're getting, female characters that we're getting today. That's not to say, again, I thought she was fine. I agree with you on everything. Like, the romance was fine. She was fine. I liked her banter. Could have done without the casual racism, but the sign of the times and the sign of the Fae. So it's fine. But that being said, like, in comparison to Megamind and Metro Man and Minion, I wish we could have something like Megamind today. And if anybody knows of something like Megamind today, and they want to recommend it to us, mortifiedpod@gmail.com.
Yeah, definitely. Send us an email. Also, they are at Peacock doing like a Megamind like TV series sometime in the next. It was announced in February of this year, actually. So we'll see. Maybe there's more Megamind in our future. But we'll keep an eye out for that. Yeah, just she doesn't have very much agency. She's just getting kidnapped constantly.
She is a snappy woman, sarcastic in the 2010s movie. It's very 2010s. And that's not to say it's bad. It's just to say it aged.
I think that's a fair criticism. And then Metro Man, who I think is largely great. Yeah, he's just like kind of an asshole. Elvis. He's like, if Elvis was Superman, he's kind of a dick, and like he juggles babies. And you've all probably seen the meme where somebody's like, we love you, Metro Man, and he points to the crowd. He's like, and I love you, random citizen. It's like, that's his character. That's it. Yeah,
truly. That being said, when he is pathetic and has his beard out,
no.
Hot. Metro Man's heel turn, hot. You heard it here first. I love a pathetic man. Brad Pitt did his best. Brad Pitt did a good job. I think for me, there's a big, like, in the animation industry, there's a lot of conversations about, like, hey, let voice actors voice act and let actors do whatever. And this conversation is actually also kind of relevant to, like, movie musicals because, poor Russell Crowe really got torn apart for Les Mis. I think unfairly so. I think he was absolutely fine. I did not even notice anything about his performance. But the thing is, like, about movies is that a lot of the times Hollywood studios will, like, put a really big name in roles just to get attention on the film. And that's all well and good. I think, again, Will Ferrell, I thought, did a great job. David Cross, I thought, did a really great job. Everyone else, Jonah Hill also, and we're about to talk about Jonah Hill. Jonah Hill also did a really great job. I think that everyone else put everything they could into it. Like, no one, like you said earlier, nobody phoned it in. That being said, I think maybe Roxanne and Metro Man could have been better served by professional voice actors.
Yeah. I just, I think Tina Fey and Brad Pitt are very much more like live action folks. Like Will Smith at this point, I guess he didn't at this point, but in 2013 he would go on to do like the Lego Movie. So like, you know, Will Smith is has a little bit more range. I think these folks are better served. Well, go ahead.
Even Will Smith's live action performances are really cartoonish. So like Brad Pitt is like a very serious actor, and Tina Fey, you know, is more like a snarky comedian. Like she's kind of more deadpan. And it's the same with Jonah Hill. Jonah Hill can also, if he wants to, serve a pretty cartoonish performance. I don't know if you saw Don't Look Up, but he's like Donald Trump Jr. type in there, and he's like very cartoonish about it. And, you know, like it's just, I understand why the cast was so stacked with comedy legends, but I do wish that at least a few of the roles went to like professional voice actors, because listen, Brad Pitt is very handsome. We're actually going to watch The Lost City. He is in there. And you know, he does a great job. He has great comedic chops, but yeah, there were a couple of line deliveries, especially at the end, where I was like, this feels like you're trying to act it in front of a camera instead of acting it with just your voice. Yeah.
But, you know, largely I think Metro Man's character works. You know, I do like that he is, you know, a guy who's like really not in it for like doing the right thing. He's just like, he likes to be loved. And then when he gets bored of it, my favorite scene with him is when he explains how he faked his death. And like, he's like, no, like, of course, like, and I could tell, like, you could tell that he was trying to be like, oh no, copper, my one weakness. And like, then he like uses super speed and freezes time and just sort of wanders around. That's my favorite gag. It happens in another DreamWorks movie, Over the Hedge, and I think I thought it was hysterical at the time. But like, he just like wandering around, you know, like reading books and like thinking. Yeah, just like kite. Chilling. He like has a whole like month where he's just like frozen in time thinking about his life before he decides to fake his death, and it's really I like that as a joke.
No, it was really good. Our last character is Incel Hal, played by Jonah Hill. I thought Jonah Hill crushed it in a performance of a terrible character.
No, I mean, like, for what Hal is supposed to do, he's supposed to be, like, a creepy, weird dude who is self-serving, and, you know, he becomes more of who he is when he gets superpowers, and, like, that's... Yeah, Jonah Hill did a great job of being like, yeah, I'm kind of a weird dipshit, and, you know, it's easy to do, and, yeah, I liked it. Hal works.
Hal works, and I think the comparison you made to what's his face in Incredibles was Syndrome in Incredibles was really apt. That being said, kind of want to rewatch Incredibles for the like Randy and what is her fucking shit objectivism.
Yeah, Brad Bird is way into that shit bullshit in there. Apparently. You know, it's very much like, oh, they're stopping us from being so super because we're so super that it'll hurt the rest of society, and it's like, oh, are we sure? We want to say that? It's fine. Anyway, Mrs. Incredible has a fat ass.
Anyway, I guess we can move on to talking about how this show is in the middle of The Incredibles, Batman, and Batman v Superman.
Yeah, Aaron, I mean, like, that's all you. So, you know, The Incredibles came out in, like, what, 2003, I want to say? And Batman versus Superman came out in 2016. And like this show, you know, for if we're taking the first 20 years of the 21st century, you know, as a block, right? This is directly in the middle of them. It's drawing inspiration from The Incredibles, but also, like, you know, it sets up some of the conflicts that you will see played out in Batman versus Superman. That's not to say that Batman versus Superman was inspired by Megamind, although it should have been, because that movie is quite bad. No, I like that movie, but it's a fucking bad movie. But like.
Isn't that the one where Henry Cavill had to get his mustache photoshopped out? In the reshoots?
I didn't know that, but I believe it 100%. That sounds awesome.
Shout out to those VFX artists that had to fucking do that.
Shave Henry Cavill in every frame. But yeah, like, right, because the thing that I like about Batman versus Superman is, you know, drawing from the ideas of like, oh, what if Superman was evil. And like, you know, what happens when we have somebody who is on Earth but also does not have great intentions. And like that's what happens to Hal. And we also see, you know, with Syndrome, like we were just talking about, somebody who, you know, thinks of themselves as being a good person but is actually not, and when they are given, you know, more power, they become more of themselves. And you know, that's not to say that this is like an original thing, right? You know, even the Batman versus Superman storyline goes back to the comics, right? So like, you know, Megamind, I just like the ways in which it kind of foreshadows Batman versus Superman in a more interesting way than Batman versus Superman was actually executed, because fucking Zack Snyder is Zack Snyder. But like, so I was looking about the reviews for Megamind, and like apparently they were like fairly middling. Like some people were like, oh yeah, this is fine, but like, you know, all these plot points, you know, like a villain who doesn't know what to do after the hero is gone, and like, oh, you know, him, you know, becoming the hero, and like, you know, a hero going bad. Those are all like pretty old tropes at this point in not only fiction but specifically superhero fiction. Claudia Pugh of USA Today said, "Do we really need Megamind when Despicable Me is around?" And like, today in 2022, that sounds like a fucking wild thing to say, because
it's a wild thing to say on its surface, because Megamind's not a dad.
no.
Despicable Me is a movie about a sad man accidentally becoming a father. This is... Oh, man. Sometimes people talk about animation and they do whiff it,
They sure
don't they?
do. But, like, I can see why you get there, because, like, this is the year, you know, like, Shrek the Third, I think, had just come out. Like, that allegedly they were going to finish the Shrek franchise. You know, this is the year that How to Train Your Dragon comes out, notably, which is like, you know, which is on our list, right? Because again, I haven't seen it, but it's supposedly extremely good, right? Exactly, right. And then Despicable Me, which became, you know, the Minion theme hellscape that we live in now, like was wildly popular. And like compared to those, like Mega Man, you know, doubled its budget. Like it did fine. Megamind doubled its budget. It did fine, but you know, like it wasn't. People thought it was just okay. And I wonder if you have any thoughts about like the criticism that it's just recycling other plot points and tropes, because I feel like at least once earlier this month, I had said something to you in DMs, which was like, you know, I'm really worried that I am just doing the same thing and like taking the media that I like and recycling it into my own work.
Okay, yeah, but I have thoughts on that, but before I do, I just want you to know that I do have a friend who unironically enjoys Minions.
Do I know them?
I think so. Did you ever meet Minnie?
I've seen them on Twitter sometimes, and I know you talk about them, but
Okay. So you've seen Minnie. Yeah, she unironically likes Minions.
And that's fine.
That is her major character
Listen,
flaw.
we all have a tragic
flaw.
Mine is envy.
Yeah.
Minnie's is being a Minion enjoyer, and that's okay.
Minnie unironically enjoys Minions, and it is one of the only things we disagree on. Much like one of the only things Marty and I disagree on is certain elements of the movie Frozen, namely Olaf the Snowman. I'm an Olaf hater, sorry to say it. Yeah, so all art is theft. That's just it. All art is theft. Like, that's it. You look at... when I was in 6th grade, I used to copy handwriting, and that's why I have nice handwriting now, is I used to look at my teachers, and if I liked the way they wrote their B, I stole their B. All art is theft. I am currently writing. You are currently writing. Let me tell you, I was sitting there watching Megamind, and I was going, that's an interesting way to approach crafting your own happiness. And I'm like sitting there making little edits in the back of my head. I think it's completely fine to recycle things because you are recycling things for a new age. and a new audience and in a new context. So, I don't know. I guess I'm just like, I think there's a line between, like, plagiarism and recontextualizing a trope, or, like, putting a new spin on a story
That's
that
fair.
you've heard.
I think
we
when
literally
I
just talked about
say
Iron
that I'm
Widow,
worried about
and we compared it
recycling
directly to
and
Pacific Rim. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's
stealing
just,
ideas. I don't disagree. I think that you are right that we should be take inspiration from and try to rework and repackage, old myths and things that are interesting to us. I think this is just going to be like, I saw somebody tweet something that made me sad.
About it because we live in an age of remakes,
this tweet that I saw was basically making the criticism that, like, you know, a lot of media that's come out in the past like 15 years is made by people not who were just like creators who were drawing from inspirations of things that, you know, their own things that they're interested in, you know, media, books, television, etc. But like, this generation of creators is one who is drawing inspiration from people who were already drawing inspiration from things, right? Like, instead of, you know, George Lucas trying to, you know, make Flash Gordon and all that, it's people who are like, oh, I want to be making George Lucas, I want to be making Star Wars, not like, you know, George Lucas who's just like, I just want to, like, have a cool space movie. And that's the thing that I get worried about. And I don't think, you know, I don't know that Megamind is doing that, certainly, but, like, I think that is a criticism you could level at Megamind, being just like, oh, you're just taking a bunch of old ideas and just, you know, turning them to something that's like kind of milquetoast, which I don't agree with, but I think is a theme among the criticism that this movie got. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I disagree with that. I would disagree with those criticisms. Which, because one, Megamind knows its audience. Its audience is little kids. Little kids don't understand tropes. I think it's fine for children's entertainment to be a little bit more tropey than adult entertainment, because kids have not had the exposure to the media yet. Two, I think it does it in a subversive enough way and in an interesting enough way.
They didn't use that phrasing, but like,
I didn't even
that is
really
kind of
notice.
what they mean,
and
right?
You know, you were comparing it to like Batman versus Superman.
Nowadays,
those are two completely
people
different
don't
audiences and
are
two completely
always
different
basing things off of
methodologies of storytelling.
the work of creators that are
like,
before
I
them.
disagree with those criticisms. I don't think that's very fair to an animated film.
Cringe
and it
away
sounds
from
like
any sort of generational criticism, because I think it's largely horseshit. There's a chance that some of those critics might
not be cartoon critics. They might be just movie critics, which is not to say there's not an overlap, but there are some very self-serious film critics who simply don't give animation the credence it deserves or the consideration to the nuance it deserves. And all that to say, like, I don't know. I think that tweet is also being kind of unfair because, quote unquote, this generation of creators is what? I can kind of sum up my thoughts to like wrap it, put a bow on it. I can kind of go like this. I agree that sometimes, and I've leveled this criticism against certain things before, where there are certain types of certain media properties, I think that even we've reviewed on this show, that take elements or story beats from things they are inspired by, and just implement them. But the thing about, I think where we need to kind of be specific is the way in which we define inspiration, which is to say, if you are inspired by something, you have to sit there and examine it and figure out why it works. And implementation without examination isn't inspiration, it's just copying. So I think that Megamind specifically does enough examination of the tropes for me to not think that those kinds of criticisms are fair. And I think that as creators, you and I are also, I mean, we have a whole podcast analyzing media. It's not like we're just,
For our marketing minute, Leyla,
we're not,
you have a note here that I'm very interested for you to explain.
We're very analytical. So I think we're professionals. Okay?
Visions, I believe.
The difference between amateur critics and super critics is
okay, hold on.
Which is
all right, run
my
this
favorite
back
line
for
from
me.
the movie, except replace critics with villains. Some metal screenwriting in good old Megamind. But yeah, so I think that I mean, just like to speak to your anxiety about like having read that and about your own work, like
give me the plot synopsis for the Studio Trigger short
implementing
of
tropes
Megamind.
after examining them and putting them in your own context is completely fine, and just how art works generally. Yeah,
that's really good.
So, you know how Star Wars got that series of shorts on Disney Plus that a bunch of like Yeah.
No, I
want
think
Megamind visions.
There's definitely a style that Trigger could exaggerate and emphasize in a way that fits them. That would be really fun.
Yep. No. All right. Why? I said it. I want little short films in the universe of Megamind, and I want Studio Trigger to do at least one of them.
Yep. That would be fun. That would be fun. You're right. I wish I knew more animation studios that I could make a pull from.
I think that it is. I think it could very easily be Megamind and Metro Man's first professional encounter.
Oh.
There were just times I was watching some of the encounter choreography. I was like, Trigger could do this.
Or what I'm thinking is like Minion. I want like a Minion like one-off where he is like going shopping. And
listen, they play with scale all the time. Can you imagine how tiny Metro Man's hips and how big his shoulders could become, and how big Megamind's head could become for emphasis?
Yeah, I was gonna say that's pretty dark, but
I think it'd be fun. Well, there's also Studio Grackle, I believe, which is a new one. And they're the ones that did that very, very sexy Hades promo. Uh-huh. We could do like a Metro Man commercial from them.
A studio or, even a media property that you want visions of, listeners, you can call us at 775-573-8882.
Oh, I would love to see Minion go to like a wet market and haggle for fish. Oh, that's cannibalism. Haggle for vegetables. Haggle for vegetables. I want to see Minion get into an impassioned argument about artichokes. I think that would be excellent. I think some French studio could pull it off. They have a lot of really great slice of life moments.
Do it. It's fun.
Yeah. So I want Megamind. Oh my god! No, I'm
Leyla,
Megamind visions.
When we're not threatening our audience. Thank you. When we are not negging our audience, where can we be found on the internet?
You know what else you could call us with? We actually have... Aaron, can I get a drum roll?
You can find me on Twitter at AaronSXL, where I tweet about tabletop RPGs,
Fellas,
health policy, and writing.
Has its first
I hope I just did an interview with the creator of the Caltrop Core system. That's at AA Voice on YouTube. That was really fun.
So
did
if you're a
little
listener
documentary
and you want to suggest
interview, that was
a media property to us based on our
I'm
catalog,
also probably this week going to have an essay out about why Elden Ring works for me.
I dare you. You won't.
In
coward.
contrast to other FromSoft games. So that should be coming out within a couple days at my website, aavoice.com.
I'm begging our audience.
I do another podcast with my friends Michael and Josh. That's at
You can find me at LEYLSES on Twitter, Tumblr, and Instagram.
We're all super busy, so probably not a new episode. But we are going to get that Constantine episode
Aaron,
up
what about you?
eventually. We are all just, me and Michael are both finishing out our semesters, and Josh just moved. And I think all three of us are either job hunting or college hunting. So we are in it. But Bible Boys will return at some point. But if you like Christian media, if you like people talking about how much Kirk Cameron is a nightmare person, tune into that. Yes. I don't know if Leyla cut this out of the episode, but I will just say it again. Today at 1 a.m., Leyla guided me through the last boss of Elden Ring, and I said, it's over, and then I burst into tears for 30 seconds, which was weird, but it was a good time. I don't think I've cried at a video game in like literal years, which was a very strange moment for me, but it was a good time. I had fun.
And
so yeah.
There's one more
thank you.
One more
all
thing
hail,
you can
Valisa,
contact and call us in about.
your
Speaking
new
of
Elden
Aaron's
Lords.
essay about why Elden Ring works
Our
for
theme
him.
song is Obsolete by Keshko from the album Filmmakers Reference Kit Volume 2. Find more of their music at keshko.bandcamp.com. Leyla, how do we want to tell our listeners goodbye this week? We can only hope. We'll see you all next week.
No, I was glad I got to share that intimate gaming moment with you. Aaron, I don't fucking know, because you're living in a fantasy. There is no Easter Bunny. There is no Tooth Fairy. There are no listeners. And there is no Queen of England.